In this video guys, I'm going to share with you 7 tips for the Virtuous Cycle DLC, which should hopefully make it a little bit easier for you and just give you a better head start to get going, and also make your time spent in it more efficient without any sort of unnecessary grinding and anything like that done. Right, so let's dive in. This is likely one of the first things you want to do when you begin the Virtuous Cycle DLC. Unlock Hadern and the Axatana. Now to do this in the DLC, all you need to do, this is different to the main game by the way, I'm talking about the actual DLC, the roguelike mode. All you need to do is start any seeds with each shell and each weapon and get a instinct with them. The instincts are the abilities you get from the pillars. And once you've begun a seed with a shell and a weapon, go to a pillar, sprint to a pillar, a white one if you can because they're free, grab an instinct, and as soon as you've got that instinct you can die or quit to main menu and restart a cycle from main menu, and then start another seed with a different shell and a different weapon, get another instinct, and keep doing that until you've done it with every shell and every weapon. It should only take like 10 minutes, shouldn't take long, and then once you've done that you unlock the Hadern and the Axatana. And the great thing about doing this first is because the Axatana is very overpowered, especially for a starting weapon. It's mainly because of its running, jumping attack when you're in katana form. You run and you press R2, you sort of spin in the air and do like 3 or 4 hits with the katanas, and they do a lot of damage. And because it's 3 or 4 hits, it also does a lot of stagger damage as well. They're great start with guys, and they're probably great for the whole of the Virtuous Cycle if I'm honest. So that's the thing you want to do first. Unlock Hadern and the Axatana. Now once you're ready to properly begin a cycle, you want to unlock Eredrim's Anointed Butcher Shade. And the great thing about this is because Eredrim's a tank, he can take lots of damage, so he's great to begin with. And this shade gives you an extra 20 base damage on top of what you have already. So it's great to begin with because you'll be killing enemies really fast. Now to unlock this, you can check all your challenge progress by the way, by pressing open up the inventory basically and scrolling over to Runic Familiarity, and you can see all your challenge progress in there and what they unlock. Yeah, so to unlock this, all you need to do is kill a Grisha 5 times. So just start a seed, run to the cave near Fulgrim Tower, kill a Grisha inside, make sure you loot it as well because it drops an instinct as well as 20 glimpse. And then once you killed it, just restart or die and then restart that way and start another seed so everything respawns, everything resets. Go and kill a Grisha again and just do that 5 times and that will unlock the Anointed Butcher Shade. And like I say, because you get a glimpse, you also get quite a lot of glimpse while doing so you can also purchase the Retain Tar perk from the Runic Gate, but I'll touch that a bit later in another tip. The Runic Gate is basically your little shop in the hub area, and once you collect tar and glimpses within the actual cycles, you can actually bring them back to the hub and you can spend them. You can't bring tar back to begin with unless you've collected items that give you tar, because you actually lose it all up on death. But there are some abilities which you want to prioritize first, and that is Retain Tar and Improved Last Chance. Retain Tar does exactly what it says. It lets you retain all your tar when you die, and this upgrades up to 100%, so eventually you'll be able to keep all your tar. That will cost 200 glimpse altogether to max upgrade that. And Improved Last Chance you want as well. That eventually reaches plus 30% and it will cost 26,250 tar altogether. And the great thing about that is because if you do lose your last chance during the cycle, you have 30% chance to regain that last chance as a bonus when you loot each pillar. So that's great. There are the things you need to purchase first from the Runic Gate to make your time a lot easier in the cycles. Tip 4. Do not buy Abundance. The Abundance perk. That's a perk from the Runic Gate. Do not buy that until you're ready for the Foundling Run. Now this may seem completely stupid at first, but the reason for this is because it replaces loose items on the map with instincts, mortal instincts, and this is great, especially for your foundling and your obsidian run. They're the ones where you have no shell, so you don't get all your sort of rolling instincts, dodging instincts, hiding instincts of all that. You just get your basic ones. It's great for that, but the thing is, because it replaces items, when you're running cycles you will find a lot less items, 30% less items, which is quite a big number. So you want to leave that until you're ready for foundling run. So that's where it comes the most important. And then if you just do your normal 5 shells first, Haros, Solomon, Eredrim, Teal and Hadern, if you run them 5 first without abundance, so you can collect more items, then when you get to your foundling run and your obsidian run, you can upgrade that abundance to 30%, and then it'll really help. And you also have loads of items because you haven't purchased abundance before then. You'll also find out why in another tip, why this does come in useful. But yes, leave abundance until last, guys, or until you're ready for the foundling would be better. There's 3 loots you can buy in the hub area, and they can be a little bit difficult to find actually, because they are a little bit hidden. They're basically through the doorway where the Unchained is. They're just on the wall at the bottom of the steps. There's 3 of them. You got one for 25,000, one for 50, and one for 75. The cheapest loot gives you plus 30 extra HP, and that also works for your foundling and obsidian run. Obsidian run you can only have for maximum 100 health, but that gives you an extra 30. The 50,000 one gives you extra 30 stamina, and the 75,000 one gives you an extra 10 to health, extra 10 to stamina, and 1 extra resolve bar. Now health is very important on the Virtuous Cycle, so I would say just stick with the simple loots, don't bother with the rest. It's health which is going to get you in trouble, and that's one which will come in more useful later on, because health will be your biggest problem, especially on Obsidian. And because they're so expensive, this is why I say just stick to the simple loot. It's the best, and it's the one you'll likely use more later. If you have spare tar, buy the simple loot. If you have even more spare tar, yes, buy the rest and experiment. Simple loot is the best one, guys. Get the super hard instinct whenever available. Instincts, they are a little bit random. The pillars, when you start a cycle, the pillars, they will mostly be the same if you pick the same seed, but there's a little tiny bit of RNG. Sometimes it depends on the order you collect the pillars in. Sometimes it depends on what instincts you have on you. So there's a tiny bit of RNG. Most of the time it's the same if you pick the same seed, but there is a bit. And so that's what I want to say. Make sure you always get a super hard instinct if you see it. Now what a super hard instinct does is it gives you a chance to trigger enhanced harden every time your harden resets. So all you need to do is harden and then let go of the harden button so that it starts resetting, and when it's fully reset there's a chance enhanced harden may trigger, and when it triggers you'll get a small circle in the corner showing that you've got the buff, and then when you harden again there'll be a small circle around it which will start sort of ticking down, and that will indicate how long you've got. Now what super harden does, it basically lets you move around when you're in the harden phase, so enemies will not be able to damage. You'll be invincible, but you'll also be able to attack, so it's great. At very low rarities it only lasts for like 10 seconds if that, and you'll have a very low chance to trigger. But at high rarities, when you get close to epic or legendary even, you can get up to about 80% chance to trigger it, I think that was it if I remember correctly. And it can last upwards to almost a minute, so one enhanced harden can last almost a minute if you get it at legendary. It's crazy. So if you see super hard, prioritize getting that. Get that. Do not think about anything else. Get super hard if you see it, because it's invincibility mode, and if you can upgrade that, that's awesome. Ideally, you'd want to find it in Fulgrim, because when you've got an instinct, basically what happens is you cannot really exchange that instinct for another instinct for that slot. You always have that one, and then later on you have chance to upgrade it. There is a very rare chance to swap it out for another instinct of that sort of category, but most time once you pick one you cannot pick any others. You'll just always get upgrades for that. But if you get in Fulgrim, that means going forward through the other areas, the other temples, you'll always get a chance to upgrade that even further. So ideally, yes, if you want an overpower seed, search for seeds and always try to get super hard to begin with. But you almost always get something to take you through the seeds anyway, through the cycle. So it's not like you need it, but if you do see it, get it guys, because it's great. Keep your mortal tokens and your ornate tokens for your obsidian run later. What your mortal tokens do is when you harden, the damage that you take from that attack. So a strong attack that's coming from the enemy will heal you for more. A weak attack doesn't heal you for as much. But yeah, it will transfer that attack into HP. So it's your only way to heal when you don't have any other means, because you don't actually get healing items. You have to use mortal tokens or instincts. And what ornate tokens do when they're max familiarized, they negate full damage from any attack. So you have to cast it first and then get hit while hardened for it to trigger, but it'll make it so your next attack does no damage to you. And these are great for your obsidian run. Your obsidian run will be much later when you actually get to it, but it's quite difficult compared to the rest. Yeah, you thought the rest was hard. It's nothing until you get to your obsidian run. Trust me, you need your mortal tokens and your ornate tokens from that. Your obsidian run, your health drains very, very slowly. So in the last boss fight, when you've got almost no way to heal, that's where you need your mortal tokens and your ornate tokens. And this also ties into another tip from earlier, where I said do not buy abundance. If you buy abundance early, it means you'll get less items in the world, which means less mortal tokens and less ornate tokens. You can farm items by just keep loading seeds, running around Fulgrim, picking up all the items, then restart and keep doing that. You can do it that way, but if you don't buy abundance and just loot everything as you go through the cycles, you shouldn't be wasting unnecessary time grinding along the way on your way to foundling and obsidian and to your last seed, which should be 7th one. And that's it for my tips, my main 7 tips for the Virtuous Cycle, guys. There's quite a lot of tips I haven't mentioned. I'd be here all day if I listed every single thing I've learned in the DLC. All I will say is I may put some more tips in the comment section. If I think of any more tips I think will be really helpful, I'll either put them in the description or pin them in a comment. And it'd also be awesome, guys, if you could also provide any tips or anything that you've learnt. So for anybody else watching, they can also find extra tips that you guys have shared in the comment section. So that's it, guys, my 7 tips for the Virtuous Cycle. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.